One of your amazing projects was that you helped the children produce an animation about the KU 125th anniversary.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of an idea about how that project began and how you engaged the children, the staff, and the families in that process?
Yeah, the project is meant to land with KU's 125 years celebration. So, what everyone's talking about, how can we celebrate? Should we collect 125 rocks and, this and that? So, again, I thought, oh, maybe there's something more underneath that. So but I can't plan it. I don't know how can I plan it? I don't want to just throw out a topic to those children to say, oh, well, this is the 125 years celebration. We need to do some kind of 125 things to be meaningful. I don't see from that way. And then when I thought about where to start, as I really didn't want to tell them this topic. So I think about the quality literacy, and I find a book. It's a picture book called the Rocks and Boxing. So I use this literacy book as a springboard for children to critical reflect on the story and have their discussion. The quality literacy book, it creates a space to develop our lines of inquiry. The story is based on the childhood experience of the author's mother growing up in Arizona in the United States. So it is really about a group of young children who would play in the planet desert across the street from their homes as they create a town and their own little society. So it's quite a beautiful book about early childhood, about childhood imagination, about how it takes us as the adult back to the magic of made up towns and made up games and made up the worlds that we really enjoyed in our early childhood years. So after the story, obviously there's a discussion about the story. The children told me, "Oh, what they see in the story reminds them of themselves at KU." So I would like to share some of children's words here to share with you. So Olivia said, "Oh, Rocks and Boxing was a long, long time ago, but the children had so much fun there, just like we are having so much fun here at KU." Scarlett said, "I would like to come back to see all my friends and teachers in the future." Tori said, "Oh, we need to lock the time. We need to save the time in a special box so we can look at it and then we can remember everything we do in KU. And so we don't forget our friends, we don't forget our teachers, and then very importantly to them that they don't forget the fun stuff that they do here." So they decide they want to put a clock into a box. So I think at that moment, I think they're talking about a time capsule, but they just don't have that. They didn't have that words in their mouth. They really, so what I keep hearing is they want to lock their time. They want to put a lock to protect it, so no one is going to steal them away. And then the conversation kind of just shift by saying they're saying, "Oh, we need to come back when KU is turning 150, and when KU is 150, everything's going to be very, very old, and then we can open the box and then we can review we can see our time inside, and that would be a good idea." um, and then they kind of like just talk about the concept of time is being very long, and then they said, "Oh, well, we can draw all our times, so we need a very, very long paper, we need different materials, so we can draw our fun time here, and then we can put into this box." And then um, and then one child said, "Oh, you're talking about the time now. What about the time in the past? And what about the time in the future? So what will KU Bradfield Park actually look like after 25 years?"
It's so remarkable, isn't it? Because a lot of people would assume that young children don't think about time or don't understand time.
They
And
do. They
and
do.
yet, because you were having these conversations, it created the platform for children's theory making to really emerge and for their existing knowledge to be shared. And yeah, I just think it's so magical the way that a simple telling of a story with then the open-ended conversation that followed then twigged in your brain because you knew that you wanted to do something for KU, but you wanted it for the anniversary, but you wanted it to actually mean something to the children. So sorry to interrupt, but I just think that's so amazing.
Yeah, and then they were kind of like just talking about the teacher, and then they said, "Oh, by that time, maybe you are dead, baby." And then they said, "Oh, what about the other teacher? Oh, she's older than you. She cannot be dead because she needs to open the door. Because by the time when we do that, when we did this project, it's the in the middle of the COVID, so everyone cannot come into the center. So that particular teacher that they mentioned, she always opening the door. So they said, "Oh, she have to be alive. She has to be alive, so she can still open the door."
Yeah, that's her job. That's her job.
That's her job. And then so we are making sure she opens the door for us so we can still come in and we can come back and visit. So it's really, really fascinating to hear children's thoughts about the concept of time, about the concept of their view of the friendship, the place, and then the people around them, which appear to be the most valuable elements in the early years learning in KU's community. And then so I really want to explore that a little bit more with children about KU's yesterday, today, and tomorrow. When I think the highlight was about the very, very long time. They keep just bringing back that concept to me. So I offered them a roll of paper, not like a single piece of paper, but a row of them. I didn't cut it off. I just said, "Oh, the row is very, very long, and you can do something about it. Whether you want to draw something, it's yours." And then I said, "Here's the material: black markers, watercolor, crayons, textures, watercolor palettes, so they can choose." And then again, I sit down with them and I listen and I document their voice and their words in the process of this inquiry. So it's not, the drawing is not a one-day experience. It went on for 1.5 months.
Wow.
But just doing the drawing, there's so much details about that. There's so much research behind that. And then they were asking, "Oh, what does things look like in the past? Oh, maybe they are just black and white because it's very old. In the olden days, we don't have colors." And I went back to KU history, the KU history book, and I took it out, and then they said, "See, it's all black and white."
Yeah.
Those photos to prove their theories. And yeah, so I constantly just display what they previous drawings on drawing on the roll of paper in front of the stakeholder group for shared thinking, and then to build on their previous ideas, because their ideas are always changing. They all the time they're changing, they're developing, and they're evolving. Yes, so it's really amazing how these children, they use colors to differentiate the past, the present, and the future. They said, "Oh, black, white for the past, the present, with few colors, and future, we have lots and lots and lots of colors. The whole background needs to be blue." So in that way, they articulate their understanding of the concept of time. And I was really, really excited to see their collaborative work and hear their voice through shared recollections of past and acknowledgement of present. So we spent a lot of time engaging with children. So time was quarantined for quality conversation as the precursor to children's documentation. And the space was held for shared thinking and reflections, which provide the foundation on which children would graphically document all the things that matter to them the most. It was a delight to see the collaboration and the democratic way in which ideas come to fruition, elevating the importance of connections and their friendships. So this experience has showcased the becoming of these children, the independent relationship that have been nurtured, and a real sense of community and their connections that is flourishing. So I really do observe children, they see KU Bradfield Park as a very special place in their heart. It's their place, and it's the place they love to inhabit, and it's a place they want to share into the future. So I document all our learning stories on the story part. There's different parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. I think there's probably 6, 7 parts. Long story. Detail documented every single child's voice, their input, what did they say, and parents, they get very fascinated about those learnings, and they are really into knowing what is the next. So they constantly coming and check and ask the children for updating. They leave, and then they left a comment on the story park and that we shared, and they said, oh, maybe you need to put the contact details of all the families into the secret box, which is the time capsule. So when these children grow up, we're gonna round them up, and then all coming back to KU for a visit. So the drawing itself end up with being like 5 meters long, with detailed illustration to tell the story of KU's yesterday, today, and tomorrow from children's eyes. And the KU professional learning team, they were on board. They were facilitating and supporting us a lot, especially Fran Bastian and Laurie Hislop. They are the one they suggest to record every single child's voice and to make it into an animation to tell the story of their own. So that's how the animation was born.
Can I just say, please, how very thankful I am that you've spent time sharing with us your process, your thinking, the richness and the messiness of your development of thinking around projects of inquiry. And what I'd really like to encourage anyone who's listening to this video is to remember that you will do it differently. Your groups of children might not do exactly the same things, and you shouldn't even try to replicate projects that Bebe has shared with us, because it's about your own journey of learning how to learn with children and how to respond to the thinking of the children that you work with. And it's about, as Malaguzzi said, the art of learning how to teach by listening to children and by following their lines of inquiry and being that support, that partner, that collaborator with children in their learning journey. So to finish, Bebe, is there anything final that you'd like to say as encouragement to other educators in the kind of work you've been doing and how it's enriched your professional life?
Yeah, taking a little small step and be brave. Just keep listening to the children, you will get there. It's not that hard. Once you get into the move, you'll be good. Just be brave.
I think it is bravery, and I think it's willing to go, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I want to work in a way that honors children's voices and their thinking. And just to finish, the image behind me is actually part of the reason I got to know Bebe, because in the Voices of Children project in 2022, she led children in some really powerful projects that were submitted to the gallery, the online gallery. And I just think that's what blew me away, Bebe, because, and like the educators in Reggio Emilia, that when people take the time to listen to children's voices and give them a platform, a visual platform to express their thinking and their ideas, then all of a sudden the world stops and pays attention to how capable and powerful children are and how much they have to teach us about their interpretation of the world. And can I also just encourage everyone listening to this, that when you work this way with children, you will never get tired of your job because every day is powerful and joyful. That doesn't mean to say it's not hard sometimes, but it's just so enriching when you work in a way that gives you permission to slow down and to be thoughtful and intentional and really purposeful in your partnerships with children. And yeah, celebrating just the brilliance of the ideas that they come up with, that it is exciting, and it just gives you joy. And nothing without joy, said Mr. Malaguzzi. And I think he really tapped into a sentiment that lots of educators respond to very powerfully, to remind ourselves every day to be joyful in this amazing job that we have to learn from and listen with and support the learning of our youngest citizens. So thank you again, Bebe. I cannot express my appreciation enough for the amazing work you do. I'd like to thank KU Children's Services for giving us permission to record this interview and this video, and to continue on some projects together where we can hopefully inspire other educators to really open up their planning and curriculum design to be inclusive of children's ideas and voices, because that's when your curriculum will be super powerful.